Hello friends, I want to show you how to put together my one-handed control attachments. I'm gonna start with PlayStation 4 and later on there's 5 and then Xbox, so skip ahead if you need to. Although the steps are quite similar. First up, PlayStation 4 for your left hand. When I shipped these, I tried to get rid of these print helpers, but if you find these circles on here, make sure to clean those up. I'm sorry if I forget these. Take these two pieces, check the orientation and snap that shaft into the round slot there. Note the flat spot on the shaft, that will help you snap it in better. Make sure it turns around. Next, here's the buttons mount. So these 4 sticks are the button pushers. Look at the symbols there. Can you figure out how this helps you align the correct stick to the correct slot? Snap those in. And you're ready. Next is the thumbstick mover linkage. Take this part near the ball joint end, align it with the top part and make a hinge out of this raw piece of filament, this plastic string that I will send to you. It's the same string used for 3D printing. Next, the button part. Check the orientation there. See how it curves away and then back. It's probably better just watch the videos. And I've tried to make it so it's not easy to assemble it wrong, but you can make a mistake. So please pay careful attention. And here is the next part. This is the rear part. See how it has this round feature as opposed to the front side one. We make a hinge out of the raw filament again. And finally, this one is not closed. It's like a hook, and you can hook it on from the other side, see? This rubbery bit is the rubber shoe, as I call it. Slot it in and also make it stay with more of this raw filament. This snaps onto this base mount on these ball joints. Check the orientation. To mount it on your controller, start from the front and then the rear. Help those trigger pushers go around the corner and snap it in all the way. See how it becomes solid. And once again, this thing, if it fell off, you snap it on there and that moves the thumbstick. The button pushers snap in from the rear to the front. There's these rectangles that they slot into. It should be quite solid. And you can push those to push the buttons and the thumbstick with this paddle. Next, I'm going to show you the leg strap attachments that you can use instead of the rubber shoe. You build it up just like the hinges before, except with this hinge you need to use a drop of AC glue. Wait, CA glue if you have that, because it's a bit easier to come undone. So this slots in place of that rubber shoe on the same mount there, and the idea is that you can use a strap like this. That's it. That's the left-sided PlayStation 4. Oh, one more thing. I've been printing these button decorations that you can glue on like this. So this is totally optional. You can make out the buttons even without these, but they're quite pretty if you have the time and dexterity to glue these ones on. If you want a little bit more centering force for the thumbstick movement, you can take a rubber band like this and stretch it across these hooks on the bottom side of the attachment there. So double it up perhaps 3-4 times and stretch it there, and the stick will center a bit more strongly than before. Next up, this is the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, and this time I'm using the right-handed side parts. Let's start with the bottom mount and the trigger pusher. There's a little print helper there, so snap that off. Use this orientation to snap this trigger pusher onto the mount and make sure it turns around. Next we are going to snap the button pushers onto this top mount. There's also small markers there that you couldn't quite see on the video. That will help you. Next, this is the thumbstick mover. It's the same steps as for PlayStation 4, so I've skipped it. It's ready here with the filament hinges. And this is the rubber shoe, again with a piece of raw filament. And here is the leg strap attachment with a piece of filament for a hinge. To snap it onto the controller, start from the front, then aid it on from the rear. It snaps on quite lightly, and then hook this thumbstick mover on. And for the buttons pushers, you start from the rear and then snap it in the small rectangle in the front. To swap the rubber shoe out for the leg strap attachment, take the piece of filament that was holding it in and slide this one on. Just the same as PlayStation 4. And in fact the Xbox as well. Here I'm threading the rubber band. This is optional, but this can add some centering force. I'm threading it around these hooks. This is the left-handed Xbox controller. What I mean is that the Xbox controller is not symmetrical, so there's two versions with totally different shapes. Clean the parts up if they need to be cleaned, and make sure this flexure here is free to move. It pushes on the X button. We're going to start with the trigger pusher. It goes to the bottommost slot in this orientation. Use the flat spot on the shaft to your advantage when clipping it in. It should turn quite freely like this. Next, is this the B button? It's the largest one. It's the next slot over. Then A, and A has this print helper that you have to snap off. That's ready. Clip it on to the next slot. Using the flat spot again, see? This is the Y button. And the X button. We are going to make the thumbstick mover linkage. That goes there, and then you have the other side. This is the rear part here. And this is the bottom part. Rubber shoe goes on there with a piece of filament. See how this one opens up like that. This is the leg attachment. You clip it onto these ball joint sockets here in this orientation. I'm also going to show you how to add this optional rubber band here. You need this for extra centering force on that thumbstick. To clip the mount on your controller, start from the front and then go to the rear like this, aiding those trigger pushers on. And if it's loose, push it just a bit further until it clips in solidly like that. And finally, clip this thumbstick mover on like that. And you're ready. That's the left-handed Xbox. Next, the right-handed Xbox controller. There's a small film, a thin film of plastic there as well that you need to clear out. If I have forgotten it, I'm sorry if I have. First, the trigger pusher. Check the orientation and use the flat spot on the shaft. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing it very well on the camera, but there you are. It should turn around freely. And here is the D-pad pusher. You use a piece of filament to hold it in place. It kind of floats in the air. It's not a very tight connection there, but that's what allows it to push on the D-pad. Put on the rubber shoe. I'm using a black one here, where I was using a gray one earlier. Use a piece of filament for that. And then you assemble this linkage with these filament pieces again. And this top stick mover piece snaps onto these ball joints. But you don't have to snap them both in right now, because you have to undo one of them to get the controller in. You'll see what I mean. See? So you snap this base of the mount on firmly until it snaps onto that ledge. And then this linkage comes. So it has to be undone in one place, then snapped onto these balls there, and finally the top piece is snapped onto that ball joint there, and you're ready. To see how the leg strap attachment works, you can refer back to the left side Xbox or the PlayStation parts of the same video. The same with this rubber band. It's the same here. That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope that helped. And I hope you enjoyed these attachments.